Going live? Come on, come on, come on. There we go. All right, welcome back, everyone, to another real news quarantine. We were having such a good conversation. I felt like we better start streaming before we go on Sam Whitfield's show, which we're supposed to go on. It was going to be an 11 p.m. stream. Now it's a midnight stream. Now it's a who knows when stream. Kidding, Sam. I know you're probably going to watch this at some point, but it's all good. We're all kind of in a strange time with this quarantining, this social distancing. We're all kind of on another
We're
time
totally gonna
zone.
fuck this conversation up now. You know that, right?
That's true. Yeah, the conversation always gets screwed up once you hit going live.
Like, all
Um,
right, we're gonna have this good conversation right now and go. That's like when you're talking to somebody and they're like funny, and then you're like, say something funny, and then it's
it's like,
like,
tell me a joke. The Holocaust.
yeah.
I almost pulled a fucking Nick Fuentes there. I'm kidding. I
There
believe in the
you
Holocaust. Yes, it happened. Lots of people died. But
go.
what I was gonna say, I will bounce back into the conversation we were having. So, for
Okay.
the context of everybody else, we were just talking about how people in the press have been behaving terribly. I mean, Trump ripped this NBC report to shreds. You can see it online. Like the guy was asking, like, "Oh, what do you say to all these people who are scared?" And Trump goes, "I'd say that you're a terrible reporter," and just and they call him Concast. He's like, "You're from Concast." He just fucking like shredded them. Beautiful stuff. But the point we were getting to is that you've seen a lot of coverage. They've been saying like, "Oh, Trump and Fauci are at odds with each other. They're contradicting each other." I think and I noticed this too, because if you listen to them, they're not really contradicting each other. They both acknowledge they're looking at certain things differently or wording it differently. And it's specifically about this chloro, whatever the fuck the long words, this malaria drug that's seen as potentially a, there's a creeper. Fuck. As a cure for, or a treatment, I should say, for the coronavirus. And if you listen to both of them, you understand that Trump's coming at saying, hey, I've heard that there are cases where this works really well. Let's try it. Why not? And Fauci's coming and saying, well, there are anecdotal cases, but there hasn't been long tests and studies on, so I'm not so sure. And Ben Carson put this perfectly. This is how Scott Adams has been framing it. Well, probably is framing this stuff. If he hasn't yet, this is how he would in his book Loser Think. Trump is looking at this from a businessman's perspective. Fauci is looking through this as a scientist perspective. Trump has a business mind and Fauci has a science mind. Those things can look at the same thing differently, and
Yeah.
that's fine because Trump, as a businessman, is he's all about speed. He's let's do it as quickly as possible, and I see high benefits and low cost. Well, that's a deal. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And Fauci's looking at it as well. There's been a few cases. We're not sure if this is a treatment that'll work for everyone or a lot of people for the coronavirus.
Yeah.
So we should test it out a bit more. Now, I lean more on the
Right.
Trump perspective. That's probably because that's how I think, and we're in an emergency and we need to act quick.
hmm
But both are
Yeah.
valid
There's.
perspectives, and the fact that they can both be
Yeah.
up there is beautiful. And there's no fighting. This is such a
Yeah.
myth.
Well, yeah, it is. It's just that you're coming in when you're coming into something like this. It's like, yeah, like you said, when you have, the president who's probably done more in 3 years than a lot of these presidents have ever done, and you have Dr. Fauci, one of the best uh bio doctors in the like ever, right? And when you have these two people, sometimes
There's gonna be differences.
collaborating, you have these two collaborating, friction. You're gonna have a little friction, but friction makes fire.
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna bring that, like, there's a whole bunch of people, like there's tension, there's a lot of people bringing in a lot of ideas, there's a lot of information, and we're trying to do the best thing to get the best result to save the most lives that we can, like. And it's tough to, yeah, and I gotta say, the reporter's name's Peter Alexander, which he's the NBC News reporter. So this is weird too. So they have the NBC, they have their news, like their NBC news with like
Yeah.
uh with Lester Holt and Peter Alexander and whatever. And then you have MSNBC, which is, well, we know what MSNBC is. And
MSDNC.
yeah, pretty much. But like but uh I think that was eye opening in that, no, these guys at NBC News are no different from the people that at MSNBC. Like, you want to believe, like, okay, you want to believe because NBC News had a history of being reputable, right? They were like, for years and years and years, they had a rep, with Tom Brokaw, I think, and all these really good, they reported good stuff, and then and of course NBC and MSNBC came along in 1996, and we knew what kind of direction they were going in. And of course, you know, they all get bought by Comcast, and it feels like, and it just feels like they're all going in that direction. I mean, and this was just another example of it with Peter Alexander. It's like, well, I mean, it's just blatant sensationalism. Just, you're trying to, you know, bounce fear and chaos just for views and ratings or whatever.
Well, that's what it's all about. I mean, the press, I mean, especially cable news, they love crises. They never let a crisis go to waste because crises drive ratings because people are glued to their TVs. That's why
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the type of guy that when there's a news story or anything, I always go to the source or whoever first breaks it and share their
Well,
shit. So for like the press conferences, I don't tune into CNN. I go to the White House's YouTube channel and watch it there. I'm not giving CNN ratings
yeah,
on this. I'm giving it to the unfiltered source of the information.
yeah. I like it. Uh, I mean, with MSNBC, it's like it's more so ratings. Like, they're playing ratings for their base. I mean, they're catering to their own fan base. Like, they know they're garbage, or they know that they're biased in a particular direction, and so they're playing that. They're trying to play that to, anything anti-Trump, anything whatever. Um, which, it's sad because in a time like this where people need to, you know,
Pulled together.
people need to pull together and get their information or whatever. I mean, fuck, even Trump even called Al Sharpton,
He did.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, what?
They had a conversation. Yeah, they had a conversation, right? If they can have a conversation, and if they can maybe try to get something productive, why the fuck can't these other people?
He should speak to Big Al too.
I know, right? Big Al could get some shit done too. Y'all don't even know.
Oh, just ask Cosmic Rebecca. She could tell you
Yeah,
that Big Al knows how to get a lot of big stuff done. That man's a
yeah,
fucking legend.
yeah. Hold on. Let me
Wait,
let
can
me
you get him
read.
on? Is he available right now?
Oh no, he's dry.
Oh, okay.
He said he had some shit over at Flint River, Georgia. Trying to take care
Yeah,
of.
but aren't truckers? I mean, I don't know. Are truckers actually out right now? I mean, isn't he in quarantine? Big Al could be in quarantine. Maybe he has some spare time. He's bored and needs
Maybe,
something to do.
I don't know. Okay.
You better talk to him.
Oh, hold on. Tweet coming.
Okay.
Tweet coming your way. All
Okay.
right. So the Reverend Al Sharpton, yesterday, he said, "This week, in the spirit of unity, I made a moral appeal to the White House to consider the homeless and incarcerated amid COVID-19. To my surprise, Donald Trump called me to discuss it. If Donald Trump can call a critic like Al Sharpton, we can all find it in us to come together." See? So
Did Al
if
Sharpton talk to himself in third person?
he did that, I'll admit that was kind of crazy. But, but, But I'm saying, look, if it, and um, Al Sharpton's been a huge critic of. He was riding that fucking fuck Trump train,
Oh yeah,
and if they can have a productive sort of conversation, I
anyone
don't know, I
can.
don't know, like why can't any of these other people? I've been looking at, I've been seeing, um, I saw that Chuck Schumer said some shit like
Oh
he
boy.
was trying to bash Trump for not acting sluggish. And first off, anybody that says that Donald Trump was acting sluggish can go fuck right off.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree.
And
Yep.
and the reason that I say that is, okay, China knew about the shit in November, right? Or somewhere in November.
Maybe
They
sooner.
kicked reporters out of the country.
Yep.
Who knows where? Wait. I think that doctor died. I don't know if he died of a coronavirus or was murdered. Probably the latter.
Come
Um,
on, China would never do that. They're good people.
right.
Their government is
Yeah, they're
so
good.
good.
They're great people. Whatever. Um, but this is what. Yeah, they had an obligation. I'm pretty sure they broke a couple treaties you know, by covering this shit up the way that they did. Because there's a lot that they were supposed to do that they fucking didn't do. And once we get all this stuff straightened out, I fucking hope China gets whatever's coming to them.
Well, that's the thing.
Um,
Actually, I think we should dive into. It's an interesting, conversation starting up. I mean, Italy's getting killed right now, and I don't mean to
yeah,
use that pun, but like
yeah,
they are getting annihilated. Like this is a
yeah.
holocaust on Italy almost. It could get to that level
Well,
because
to be fair, well. In all reality, I don't want to sound mean here, uh, but Italy's kind of getting what they deserve,
I
right?
know what you mean.
Because
Yeah.
well, let's be real. They're 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 doing this thing basically. They're saying fuck the poor, the fuck the old people, pretty much. Like they're saying, oh well, if you're old, we really can't help you, and they're one of the oldest countries in Europe. Like they're
Yeah.
like quarter of their population is elderly. Like
Oh, absolutely.
so
This is what
they're really
happens when you
gonna,
treat them like shit.
yeah.
And the thing
So
is, Italy's getting annihilated. Italy's going to go through a depression that's probably going to cripple them for years. I don't know, this is going to take them a long time to get out of it. Uh, and all these people in America are out of jobs, losing money, going to lose their health care soon, probably quite a lot of people. And people are going to demand somebody held accountable. And you're going to
mhm,
hold whoever's responsible for this accountable. Who's responsible? China. What are we going to do about China? Are we going to. Some people were suggesting we will do like. I think it was Mark Thiessen on Fox was suggesting what we should do to China is like what we did to Saudi Arabia after 9/11, which is we. I forget what this thing is called where you can basically sue them. I know it sounds kind of strange to sue a country, but
yeah.
you can basically sue China for this.
Hmm.
I don't know what Trump's going to do, but I know he's going to do something. He's the only one with the balls to do something. I've been
Hmm.
shocked, though, at Britain. Britain has been handling this terribly. After seeing everything else in the world, they were blowing it off. And Boris Johnson's a smart guy. He's a great guy. He
Hmm.
got Brexit done, and we
Yeah.
applaud him for that. But if he
Yeah.
doesn't handle this well, which I'm not going to lie, so far, not so good. I mean, he could be hurting himself terribly and hurting his people even worse. And
Hmm.
Britain's in a position where they might, because of Boris being a populist, they are one of the few countries that could help us fight China once this is all said and done. I mean, maybe the rest of the world might get so pissed off and they might be so hurt by this that they might actually put their globalism aside for once. Maybe, and actually do something about China. But I'm skeptical. That's why I'm hoping Britain pulls through because they could actually do something. Maybe India will too. I don't know. I mean, this is where a good relationship with Russia could help because we could say, hey, Russia, look, China's a piece of shit. Look at what they're doing to everyone. And is it, you know what? I just saw something. I have a crazy theory. Remember how Russia has hardly any deaths right now? They're one of the lowest. I wonder if China told them, like gave him a heads up, like, hey, you may want to look out for this because they're kind of buddy buddy. Now, it would be nice if we could be nicer to Russia and get, you know, better relationships with them so that they weren't so dependent on China. But that's not what the Democrats want. They want to Russia, 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 hoax everything and tie Trump to everything Russia and everything bad. So, they've hurt us nationally by all this crap they do to Trump. Now, it's expected. I mean, these people are going to do this, but good thing we have Trump in. I mean, thank
Oh,
fucking God.
absolutely. Absolutely. I and it's hard because I I don't know how hard Russia's going to get hit just because,
Mm,
they're not they're it's a vast country, it's a cold
an
country.
empty
I don't
country.
know. I don't know how hard they're going to really get
I don't think they're
hit.
going to get hit hard at
I
all.
I look at
Italy's going to get the
so
worst.
geographically they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
Um but uh I I definitely I was having a conversation with somebody else, and I was and we were talking about, well, is this the end of globalization? And I have to be like, well,
I hope so, but it won't be.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely we're going to be rethinking our. I'm hoping we're seriously rethinking our trading patterns with
Yeah.
China.
We should be rethinking our
And our
position in the world
yeah.
now.
Um, I think uh there will China will definitely, like, once we start pulling out, China will definitely try to retaliate. Um, I think at the very least, I think that tariffs, like,
Yeah. At the
if they
very
don't
least.
if they don't act if they don't get their shit and act right, we should tariff the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
Sanction them.
go insane, like sanction we could hit them with tariffs if they don't do that. If they don't pay those tariffs, shit's getting sanctioned. Like, uh, and then of course we'll
Pull
they'll
businesses on
retaliate.
us.
They'll retaliate with that too. I think we'll try to increase trade with Japan and North Korea, or not North Korea,
India.
South Korea, and India. Yeah, India is actually in a prime position. If they're
Absolutely.
smart, which they are,
Yeah, Modi's
they're
smart.
smart, they would take advantage of this one. They'd be like, okay, look, we have the, like, especially with the medical manufacturing, because they have the
Absolutely.
medical personnel
Yeah.
to pull this off. They have the technological personnel to pull this off. Like, they if they're smart enough, they could rip the rug right from underneath China. And of course, China could probably retaliate there too. But, you know, we'd be ready. We'd be ready. We'd be in a better position than not now. Like, cuz it's hard to do something when you have so much tied into that particular country, because and everybody and their fucking mother wants to hit the Chinese market. And I'm glad, if there's anything I'm glad of, is we're seeing how um this maybe hitting the Chinese market maybe not wasn't such as good of an idea as one would have thought. Like,
Absolutely.
there's definitely some cons to hitting such a robust market.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I I think I mean this virus obviously could become something just absolutely catastrophic, but when you look at the numbers, yes, they're climbing. And even if you include Italy and China, I mean, I think we have the graphic up. It's like 22,000 dead or 22,000 cases. I should double check that. Um it's people are making it out to, I mean, I think people have calmed down, but we still need to keep in the context that this really isn't that bad. Could it be really bad? Of course, obviously, that's why we're doing the things we're doing. But actually, I can check right now. Yeah, the cases are at 307,000 and 13,000 deaths, 92,000 recovered. I mean, like, let's be honest, that's not a lot. It really isn't. I mean, when you go country by country and you start going to, like, let's say Italy, yeah, that's a lot. 800 people died today. That's a lot. That's scary. But you look at even America, like, what? We have a few thousand, I think it is, or something like that. Like, there's what, 300 million people in this country, and we have a few thousand from one virus.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to play these deaths. Obviously, like, it's terrible. Don't get me
Yeah, it's like
wrong.
a little over 200 people, 200 casualties, and or fatalities.
I mean, 85 million people died in World War II. you know,
Mhm.
and I remember somebody in our one of our group chats was saying this will be worse than that. And I'm like, uh, you want to check your numbers again on that? I mean, 85 million people. That was 4% of the world's population then. We're barely scratching the surface here. I mean, I'm just trying to keep in perspective, you know.
Mm.
Uh,
I mean, it. I get that it's difficult to try to put things into perspective like this, just because you
we're
know
in the middle of it.
we're in the middle of it. You might know somebody that has it. You might,
Yeah,
and obviously you hope the best for people.
of
And
course.
I'm not saying that I don't hope for best. Like, of course I do. Um, but we have to look at this thing like, you know, you have to grab in times like these, you have to grab the optimism. You have to grab the optimism. It's like, well, we're not in as bad we're not as in as bad of a shape as some other places. We're not, you know,
We're not Italy. We're not China
we're not, yeah. Even Iran,
or
I think.
Iran. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a total, just to run the numbers to put it in perspective, as we were just saying.
Mhm.
China has a total, if you believe the numbers, which we all absolutely do without a shadow of a doubt, 81,000 cases. Italy has 54,000 cases, and the U.S. has 27,000 cases. And when I go to the death counter here, Italy has 4,800 deaths, which is pretty remarkable for their country, considering the size of it. China, 3,000 in Hubei, China, and then about 1,500 in Iran, 1,400 in Spain. UK's at 233, and the US, they just break it down by states, like Washington 94, New York 76. I can try to find a total in the US, but we're below a lot of these. We're doing way better than most countries, and we're a big freaking country.
Yeah. I don't think I think when you look at it, and then even if you break it down, like, finitely, like, or, I wonder what the death rate would be per million or per 100,000, like
Yeah,
how
yeah.
ours would be compared to, you know,
I'm sorry.
other.
You wanna know how many? We only have 300 deaths in this country from coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
That's really small.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, if you want to go, um, if I'm doing my math right, that's like six per state. I mean, let's keep into perspective how contained this is getting in America and all the measures we're taking. We're gonna be fine. I mean, we're really flattening the curve, as Fauci and Trump want, and
And
again,
we got some people working on this thing too.
twenty
It's
four
like
seven.
yeah, you got some of the best minds out there, working on stuff here.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I mean, I look at it from, I and part of me, okay, so part of me would want to ask, like, I know I'm kind of like branching, like going in another direction here,
That's
but
fair.
like, uh, because there's a lot of people that are saying, look, liberty, like, are you sure, are you sure these moves are worth,
Mm-hmm.
the economy versus liberty, or versus, you know, the health and welfare of the country, we're having that thing because, people are saying, oh, well, I'm sure these, this damn near martial law, is this right for the country? These imposed quarantines where we're basically shutting down cities, is it good for the country? Um and it's like, well, I don't know. I guess we have to
Gotta do what you gotta
to
do.
you got there is a fine line, I get,
Yeah.
because you know you have to keep some business up, you have to keep some, economy going, uh but you do have to, you have to keep in mind, you're trying to contain whatever's out there. You're trying to protect, particularly you're trying to protect the elderly, right? And we're trying, like, and if we're going to try to keep these fatality numbers low, we got to protect the older people, right?
Right.
And I think this country's probably takes care of their elderly probably the best in the world. Um, because I mean, when you look at Medicare and Social Security, it's, you know, no question, we take pretty good care, and when you live, and um we're starting to see with Italy. We're definitely starting to see Italy. They're basically, in a nutshell, saying fuck the older people, and that's why their death tolls are high. Like, that's why they're high, and
I wonder what
you
else is
know,
contributing to it. I wonder because I've heard that there's a lot of Chinese workers there, or other things. I mean, their death tolls are
well, I
remarkable.
mean, well, yeah, I mean, the contract, contracting, the number of people contracting the virus is probably high, because there's a lot of Chinese business that's getting done in Italy. Chinese business and tourism. They joined the Silk Road with, this trade, this deal with China. They went against the U.S., went against the EU, went ahead and did this thing, and there's a lot of, they intermingled a lot with China, and it kind of went to their own detriment. And um, I mean, I'm sure that had something to do with it too. It's not. I mean, will we honestly exactly know? Probably not. But I mean, we look at the facts that are in front of us, and we can kind of paint a picture. We can kind of
Mm-hmm.
put some pieces together.
Yeah, because I
Uh,
mean, it's obviously not one factor. We don't live in a one
right.
variable world, but I'm just curious as to what really is it that like what like why Italy of all the countries is getting hit this hard. I think we've hit
It,
on probably some of the biggest factors.
yeah, we have, and you just have to put them together, right?
Yeah,
It's an old country. It's an old country with a lot of old people. They do a lot of business with China. China was the place where it came from, right? You
that's racist, Phil. How dare you say that?
look. Actually, no, it's not racist, because China's not a race. And this is another thing. Trump calling it the Chinese virus is not racist.
Just ask a
Get over
Chinese
it.
person.
Look,
They literally
well,
are racist to each other because they're not all the same race. Like a majority of them are the Han race, but if you're not a Han, they will treat you like shit.
yeah, that's like, wait a minute.
So CNN's defending actual racists. and calling Trump racist for calling a virus what it is and where it came from. It's kind of like the new radical Islam, you know.
So
Oh,
so who wants to listen to a tweet from Hillary Clinton?
oh
Who
fucking
want
hell.
who wants to do it? Oh, you do, Sean? All right, don't mind if I
I
do.
said no.
All right. It's like,
That's like when your mom like drags you out something. They're like, "Oh, I thought you said yeah, you want to go painting with old people." It's like,
uh,
"Oh, okay. Thanks, mom."
the the president is turning to racist rhetoric to distract from his failures to take the coronavirus seriously early on, make tests widely available, and adequately prepare this country for a period of crisis. Don't fall for it. Don't let your friends and family fall for it. Yeah,
Could
that's
she
that's what she
sound
said.
more irrelevant? Like honestly, what did I
Yeah,
just listen to? Like that
well,
was
you did that was a pretty bad voice of Hillary Clinton's,
no, your
but
voice
no,
is
look,
spot
look,
on
let's,
accurate.
let's yeah, is turning to racist rhetoric, not race again, not racist. Chinese virus, not racist. China's not a race. Um, to distract from his failures. What
Yeah,
failures?
what
To take
failures?
the to take the coronavirus seriously early on. No, he stopped travel to China. He uh and he took all of the appropriate measures early on. All of the information that he got was the same, was based off of China's basically negligence, right?
Yeah, he went off
China's,
no
yeah,
information.
right. He basically had no information to go off of. And with what information he did get, he
Yeah,
acted on it.
yeah,
And he acted swiftly.
and
And he
appropriately.
did and he made the right steps.
Yeah,
And he absolutely made the right steps. Teaming up with a private sector, absolutely the right
yeah, it's
step.
perfect.
100% the right step. Make tests widely available. They weren't they weren't widely available fucking anywhere. Like, where were they available?
How could they
Maybe
be?
maybe China. I'm not trusting China.
Yeah.
I don't trust I don't trust even that those tests are even accurate.
Well,
Do
they
I
even
I don't
found a
even
few false positive or false negatives
Yeah,
already.
I'm not trusting that shit. I'm like, I would rather us develop our own shit and then go from there. Like, let some of the smartest minds here create the medication and the tests. Um let's see, make tests right and adequately prepare. How did he not? First off, the most of this is on Obama. These steps that were taken were based off of uh, obsolete shit by the Obama administration. Absolute poor. And really, we should. Well, really, the way that Obama handled fucking, the H1N1 and SARS and all that shit should have fucking, we should have, like it's like, at one hand, I guess we should have known better, but you don't know that shit until it actually
Yeah,
happens.
exactly.
Like, you don't know what to prepare for unless it actually happens. Like, look, China, China made good. Well, I wouldn't say China made good steps, but even China made wholesale changes and they weren't effective. Italy tried to make fucking oversteps and they're a fucking disaster. Um, in addition, you can't do shit. There's shit you can't do because we have rights in this country. You can't do what South Korea did and,
Yeah.
like, track everybody's cell phone to make sure that they're flying right. Like, you can't do that shit. We have, we have a constitution and privacy laws and shit, right? You can't do that. So everything that Trump has could do, he is doing, right? And if you're going to blame anybody, who fuck to blame. Blame China,
Yep.
which is exactly why he's calling
Blame
it
who's
the
responsible for
Chinese
this.
virus. Huh?
Yeah, blame who's responsible for this, you know? This isn't
It's the
hard,
bat.
people.
It's the bat. It's the bat. It's the bat's fault.
Yeah, like it's the gun's fault too that shot up
Right. Like,
12 kids.
first off, and that's bullshit too. I refuse to believe that fucking bat that caused this shit. This is
I
probably
am on the same
I'm thinking
page
it's a
as you.
lab. I think it's a lab. I
Yeah.
think it was created, and I'm sticking to that one. Unless somebody shows me good enough evidence, which won't happen because, you know,
Yeah, I don't buy this because I've heard that from so many people. Especially on the right. Like, oh yeah, just some dumbass ate a bat and then, now everybody's got it. I'm like, maybe. I'm not gonna throw that out. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know about you, but that just seem doesn't seem that simple. And I never buy this idea because it just literally has no logic to it. The idea of the simplest explanation is the most likely. That makes no sense
no,
because we
no.
live in such a complex world. It's
Yeah.
probably the most complex explanation that's actually the most accurate. So I don't. It could have been a bat. It could have been a whole bunch of other factors. I mean, I genuinely don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever know. I mean, I only know who patient zero is, and I only know if China does. I mean, maybe they do, and they took them out. I mean, it's this is. I think people like to look for explanations to make themselves feel better. They also like to look
And
for things to blame.
and the thing is, China has 100% lost the benefit of the doubt in this
Oh,
situation.
absolutely.
100%. Like, I'm not going to go with anything that China says because, you know,
Because they're
yeah,
full of shit.
they ate it. Like, they ate it during this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how
Like,
can you
oh,
trust them?
and they're and the fact that the China news, right? China News has a Twitter page, and um they essentially retweeted Hillary Clinton's,
Oh, they
like,
retweeted it?
yeah,
Oh, god
China
damn.
News, right? Which, of course, because Hillary's a fucking China stoolie.
She is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You have people
Well,
like I
most,
thought it was always
yeah,
funny when people would say, "Oh, Hillary's the real Russian agent. Hey, Hillary's the one that really wants to help Russia, or that really is in the pocket of Putin." I'm like, no, she's in the pocket of China. Like, let's not kid ourselves here.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, shit. How do you think this is going to look for Joe Biden coming into the fucking election? You
mm,
know how many deals him and Hunter did with fucking China? Um,
probably more than they did with Ukraine.
yeah, yeah. I
That's saying
mean,
something.
you want that guy? You want that guy as your president?
Absolutely. He's fabulous, isn't he?
I know, right?
He's a total champion. That's the thing. They always pick the worst candidates. Like that's been their trend recently. You Republicans used to be notorious for that, but now like Democrats have stepped up to the plate and they're like, nope, we got the worst candidates, guys. Like back the fuck off. We know what we're doing here. First it was Hillary, now it's Joe Biden. Ooh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I like how like Democrats aren't even doing Democrat right. Like,
Can't even do
yeah,
Democrat.
we have like fucking Jimmy Dore was saying, which I mean, I don't like him either, but like, but he definitely brought up an interesting point. He was like, look, um, Donald Trump might end up being the most uh progressive candidate right now of the three, right? He's the one guy that's, promoting, uh he's trying to offer, like, give people money, right? He's trying to give people money to help them through you know, through this fucking crisis. And I mean,
Arguably, he is
they're blocking it.
progressive.
They're blocking it, right?
Yeah.
The Democrats are, like, resisting it.
Hashtag resist.
Mm,
I
all
mean, he
right.
arguably is progressive because he's taken the Republican Party to places it's never been before and places it should have been. Like he has moved things forward. Oh, I'm getting a audio call from Sam Whitfield. Who
Uh-oh.
is
All right.
that? Who
Well,
is that man? I guess we gotta take it.
all right.
Okay, folks, we're gonna be moving on to Sam's stream. Sam Whitfield, the Whitfield Report on YouTube. Maybe I don't know if we'll simulcast it, but um, okay, I'm having a call me again, and we will do a show there. So you can check us out, Sam Whitfield, the Whitfield Report. And it'll be a fun time.
All right. Later, Gators.
Yep. See ya.
Bird, are you in?